Thank you so much, Susanna, and good morning. I'm absolutely delighted to be here. It's really, I was just thinking, when was the last time I was in a room which had majorly women? And I can't even remember, because that's the way, this whole sector of energy is. And just being here, there's just that very different energy that I can feel in the room. It's positive. It's just got the right vibe. And I think that's what is really the cornerstone of what I'm going to be saying. This sector, renewable energy sector, is so very different from the old energy system, which was centralized, male-dominated, and kind of, build those invisible boundaries that didn't allow women to think that they could be part of that sector, which is why the oil and gas sector has just about 1/5 of women workforce. But in the renewable energy sector, I'm happy to say, especially in the solar, you see 40% women being a part of this new energy system. And this is what it's all about. We are going through an energy transition, a transition that many of us, it's something that's going to change the way we live, the way we consume energy, and it'll change our behavior patterns in a way that nothing else has done before. And this is the impact of climate change. I don't even need to tell all of you. I think you're feeling it on a daily basis when you see the weather conditions changing so much. But energy being the core of where the man-made emissions come from. 80% of the emissions come from energy. So this naturally has to change. And it's an economy-wide transition. Energy transition is economy-wide transition. And if it's an economy-wide transition, how can half the population not be a part of this transition? And this is a transition to cleaner, greener, more decentralized energy, which offers so many avenues for all the young people and all the women to be a part of it. And I'll just take the example of solar. Solar energy, you can think about so many different aspects of the kind of avenues it opens up for women to be a part of this sector. I could start with telling you about the large number of solar companies that are setting up utility scale plants, and for you to be a part of that. But also, if I go down to a community level, where in the developing world, you find that the farming communities, and the farmers, by the way, when you look at farmers, you visualize a male, because that's how we've been taught that this is how it is. But if you look at the developing world, the farmers are women, which means that they are the ones who need to also be consuming energy in a particular way. So in the solar, which could be also helping getting agriculture pumps into the system, and also the value processing around the agriculture. And there can be many, many more such avenues that this decentralized form of energy can open up. So I do need to really thank my colleague at IRENA, who's really been leading the work on gender that we do at IRENA, which is Dr. Rabia Faruqi, because she carries that passion about really going to the bottom of what is it that's making the sector tick and bringing in more women into it. What we're seeing is that there's a large degree of openness in the renewable energy sector, which wasn't there in the older centralized kind of a segment. And what we are also seeing that There are companies that are now offering very good training, building capacities, because their interest is not just to attract women, but also to be able to retain them and help them grow and go through the glass ceilings. But I do have to say that all this comes with a lot of intentionality. There has to be an intention to be able to do so. And the companies that understand that having a diverse workplace with women being a part of the decision making, they can come up with much better solutions, and they can come up with better solutions because they bring so many different perspectives on the table is extremely important. So let me give you a few numbers as we go along. The last year was a great year for renewable energy because we saw almost 300 gigawatts of renewable energy getting deployed, which is huge, which is a record. We also saw, as Dr. Peter also mentioned, was 1.3 trillion going into investments in the renewable energy sector. But is that enough? Absolutely, it's not enough, because we need to treble this. We need to go to about 1,000 gigawatts a year, and we need to go to almost 4 times the number of investment that's needed. And that will happen. And I think the key here is that as this happens, we definitely would want women to be a part of this revolution, to be a part of this change that is happening, because without that, the solutions or even the pace will not get accelerated. This is a transition that we also talk about in terms of being a just energy transition, about not leaving anyone behind. So how can half the population that really takes decisions on how energy gets consumed in a household or in a setting of their workplace, how can they not be a part of it? Financing definitely is a critical aspect, and I can tell you that, again, as financial flows to this sector grow, in a business as usual case, you will not find that more financing will go to women entrepreneurs or to companies that are headed by women. There has to be an intentionality, a policy-driven approach that will make this happen, a set of enabling policies that are very well thought through, and to create those kind of avenues for financing to go to more women who are in this sector. I think, when you're looking at some of the most important areas where entrepreneurs would derive finance, whether it's from the investing community or from the banks, without that kind of intentionality, this will not happen. And I'll give you an example. In India, there were hardly any companies which had women as their board members. Even in the solar sector, which is doing well because it has about 40% women, only 13% are in senior management positions, which means there's still a lot that needs to be done. So the government came out with a regulation that every board had to have one woman director, independent woman director there. And that really started changing the board composition, because it got people to think, okay, so I need to have a board member with a woman. Who can I think about? And soon they found that there were so many people that were natural to bringing to the board, but they didn't think about it because the mind was closed. So we need to open the minds of the people and to bring in this intentionality. And I'm sure, being in the sector that we are in, this has this huge potential to create this big boost. And I think that's why the name of the conference, Women Energize Women, is such a great name, because it just gives you that energy and that passion that we can all bring into it. Thank you so much.